Well, Matthew Lloyd quite rightly pointed out this is an exciting season, albeit just a few rounds in. And I guess one great example of that would be the form of the Sydney Swans, Bill.
Oh, no doubt about that. And it's the young boys that we don't know a lot about. And people are calling them horses' signets. Because if they were geese, they'd be called goslings. But here we go here. These are the young boys.
That's Warner.
That's Chad Warner, OK? Davey Warner. And then there's, wait for Logan McDonald up here. And then they've also got Johnny Wicks, who's a bloke that I didn't know about, but he popped up. Sam, yeah, I know that. There's Logan here. But Johnny Wicks here. There he is, Johnny. Just goes bang. Mate, they've got these kids. They're all
exciting, Bill.
Exciting. They're good to watch. They kicked 17 goals yesterday. They kicked 19 goals in the first round. They kicked 18 goals in the second round. Nobody. They are good to watch. Well done, Horse.
Well, who do you leave out? You bring Buddy back. Who do you leave out from a team that's just pants the reigning premiers?
Well, we'll find someone to just
I think
be
McLean will be the one that misses out, I think.
But they are good. They move the ball well, and watching them on Saturday, they work hard in the forward line, but they work back and they help their teammates out down back. They're good to watch. Well done, Horse.
Spot on, Bill. It starts from their pressure, and they hunted in numbers against Richmond yesterday. They beat Richmond at their own game, and we see this. The ball movement is off the back of pressure. So Cunningham doesn't get a stat for that, but that was elite. That is Braden Campbell. Lovely left foot kick. And just, you see, they're away. They were too quick in the end, and Richmond have relied on getting Bloston and Grimes and these guys behind the ball due to the pressure further afield. But the Smalls of Richmond couldn't apply that pressure, and they got beaten out the back. And you just kept expecting Richmond to get back into this game, Damo, but they never did. The Swans were far too good.
Did you expect that at half-time? Because I must admit, watching it, I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be one of these. You know, because we saw it with Hawthorn recently. And
the Bombers.
Yeah,
and
that's
the Bombers
right.
in round one.
And you think to yourself, OK, well, football's played at such a breakneck speed that it's doable.
Well, like the grand final, you always expected Richmond to even get back from 3 goals, but this was far too big, and the Swans were far too strong.
Yeah, I don't see a huge issue for Richmond. I mean, they've done this a couple of times over the last few years, still won premierships, around 3 last year. They got touched up by the Hawks. But if you're 1% off in this competition at the moment, you're going to get found out. Let's have a look at some of their efforts yesterday, which allowed Sydney. I think Jack Graham is their hardest working player. I don't think he's working hard enough. Normally he'd get to him and be able to quell that going inside forward 50. They get it in quite easily and they kick a goal. He's their hardest working player, so you give him have a look at this easy entry out of the stoppage, and you wonder when they get the ball, how do they have a 2-on-1 forward at a stoppage? So you see Tom Papley down there, it's a 2-on-1. Have a look at this. This is that stoppage just before. So this is before the stoppage, and this is Baker running in and leaving Tom Papley there on his own. That's how that happens. I'm sure that... have a look at this one. This is where you just give it to the best user in the competition, the best decision maker. All of a sudden, you give it to him late, expect him to do something, and normally Richmond hit these guys here. They were just that little bit off yesterday, and it was a couple of things. Shea Bolton should have got a free kick there, but he's arguing with the umpire while the ball's still live. Just those little things that they'll tidy up, and Damien Hardwick will have a look. And have a look at this one. You've got Papley and also Marlon Pickett here. The ball goes into the middle of the ground. This is the last one, and they're still next to each other, Pickett and Papley. Here's Papley running back and runs next to Pickett. Here they go. And have a look at Papley. He runs past a couple of players. He runs past Arts. They get the ball all the way down. And guess who's at the feet of this one when they finally get it in? It's Papley. He's just worked harder than a couple of other players. So Sydney were very good. Richmond just slightly off yesterday.
OK, and of course Tom Papley to join us live a little later on in the program. Dusty always has an influence, but how much of an influence yesterday?
2 schools of thought you can go with Dustin Martin. You can go the flat-out tag, or you can look to expose him for his lack of defensive accountability. Sydney did the latter yesterday with Kennedy and Parker, so I want to highlight a couple of clips. Back-to-back centre bounce goals here for the Swans. Look at how physical Sydney is with Dustin Martin and Kennedy. Then he hunts the footy because Dustin doesn't want to play on an opponent, so Kennedy wins that one. Mark my words, that goes down to kick another goal. Here we go again. Kennedy, Martin, physical. What's Dusty doing there? He's not in the dangerous position. Nothing significant there from Kennedy, but he squirts it out. Chad Warner kicks a goal. Parker on Dustin Martin. So Parker 27 disposals, Kennedy 29 disposals, working off Dusty yesterday. Free kick. Parker versus Dustin Martin. Just watch this play out. Now it goes down. Parker doesn't end up kicking the goal, but Hickey does. Have a look at the lack of accountability, Dustin Martin. So I reckon teams can highlight Dusty. As good as he is offensively, certainly defensively he is lacking. Now that goes to Hickey. That could have easily gone to Parker. Sydney worked him over yesterday. Great job by Parker and Kennedy.
It was a high-scoring and free-flowing game yesterday, contrasted with the last time these two teams met, round 6 last year, when there was a 34-26 final match scoreline. Damien Hardwick on that occasion criticised quite condescendingly John Longmire on that occasion. And then you see what he said yesterday by way of contrast.
Horrible game of football. I think we had 50-odd inside 50s for, 4 or 5 goals, which is farcical in nature, really. Well, there's not much I can do. I'm sitting there, we're attacking, and we've got 75,000 people in our forward 50, so it's pretty hard.
Some of their stuff looked like Richmond-like, if that makes sense. Their forward half turn game was very strong. They made us make mistakes that we don't normally make, and that's what good sides do. They punish you. So, they're in a really good spot at the moment.
They've got long memories, coaches. John Longmire has remembered that comment and played accordingly yesterday. The problems for Richmond, as you said off the top, TJ, are now stretching into their injuries. Dion Prestia had another hamstring injury yesterday, which is going to keep him out for, I'd say, a minimum 4 weeks, Kane, given his history. Now, he had one in the pre-season. He got himself right for round 1 and obviously got himself through to the first half of round 3, but he has had a history of soft tissue, and I think they'll be quite cautious with that. Floston, as we know, has got a problems keeping him out, and a knee, and also too, Camden McIntosh was concussed yesterday, so there are issues.
All right, now, of course, Essendon finally got themselves on the board, and it was one to savour, this one, I've got to say, for Essendon fans, not so the Saints.
It's amazing in the modern game how you can tell from the first minute or so how a game's going to go. And we saw it yesterday with Essendon. I thought this first centre bounce was Jake Stringer versus Jack Steele. Jack Steele was the Saints' best player yesterday. He's the only one that probably should get a vote in this game. But remember, he's on Stringer. Does he want to turn into defender here? Because he's lost possession of the footy. First 15 seconds of the game, Jake Stringer ends up with the ball. Not enough accountability. Jack Steele didn't turn into a defensive mode. This is Mason Redmond for the Bombers. So they win possession of the ball. There's too many Saints who didn't want to defend or do the work yesterday versus a hard-running Bombers side. Redmond had all the time in the world. Look at that from Jack Steele. Didn't want to run, didn't want to chase. As a result, they got their tails up the Bombers. We got Darcy Parish best on ground. Zach Merritt was superb. And suddenly, watch the ease. So I pause this. A lot of flat-footed Saints who didn't want to run. And what's the result that happens, TJ, when you don't want to work? The seas just parted. Hooker had a day out. He kicked 5, Stringer kicked 4, Tipper 3. And this was the last one. Bradley Hill, the pressure. So Saints didn't want to apply pressure. Essendon's pressure game and run and carry was superb. Even this, look at the scoreboard. 60 points up, but Essendon were willing to do this, and St Kilda weren't yesterday, TJ.
OK, so when you talk about that laziness, I don't know if you used the word laziness, but they were flat-footed. Is it laziness? Is it complacency? Is it cockiness? Is it a lack of skill? What is it?
Maybe they did go into the game thinking, well, Essendon was spanked last week, but Brett Ratton tried everything. He tried strong players in the centre bounce. He tried speed, he tried everything, but it didn't work. They lost the momentum early, Brownie, and it was all over.
It was, and they could quite easily be 0-3. Himmelberg in round 1 has a shot to put them 17 points up. The Saints fall in. Their skills last week were pretty ordinary against the Demons, and again last night I thought their skills and more of their lack of effort. They're 107 down in disposals last night, so the Bombers just had the footy. They were 41 down in uncontested marks, so that is around 160 uncontested possessions that they've allowed the Bombers. So that is work rate, that is effort, and the Bombers had that much of the footy. They still had 22 more tackles. But their skill work yesterday, they're a skillful side, the Saints. So many times we saw how quick they were last year. Their foot skills were outstanding, but the first 3 games this year, their foot skills haven't been up to AFL standard.
Are they a loser from the rule changes with a one-pace midfield? So Brad Crouch, we've got Jack Steele, Seb Ross. Yep. Are they going to be found out a little bit?
They do have pace on the outside, though. I understand what you're saying, but all clubs have got those slow, lumbering midfielders. It's just the pace on the outside they're not getting at the moment.